Anybody there? I am going to ramble for a couple of minutes because YouTube always cuts off the very start of my live. Don't know why, it's just the way it is. And you'll notice that we've got a slightly different setup here today. So I have managed to shuffle my workshop. Let's not sugarcoat it. It's a conservatory bolted onto the side of my house. I think in America you call it a sunroom, and here we call it conservatory. This is where I work. It's my conservatory. You are used to this wall here. However, I've just finished a piece off, and basically I let my kids paint last week, and they got paint on my staging wall, and I've had to repaint it, and I've had to move a load of stuff around, and I've also given myself a little kind of workstation here. So you might get this view more often going forwards. So that is my kitchen through there. That's why there's a window inside, if that makes sense, looking inside, an internal window, because this was originally the outside of the house, and this extra little sunroom or conservatory has been bolted on the side by the previous owners, and I claimed it for my own. I claimed it to painting, and it's quite handy because it's got amazing lighting, and that is like priceless. You can't pay for that. You can get artificial lighting, but it ain't the same. Good natural lighting is priceless. So there's that, and also I can still be kind of around should the kids need a referee, and I can keep my eye on them no matter where they are. So it's actually quite a good spot. The only problem is it is very, very small. Hi Sue. It is a very, very small room, so I can't show you a 360 because I'm working on some stuff over here that's a little bit kind of top secret at the moment. But like I say, you're used to seeing this view with the window here, the lighting coming through. I knew wherever I wanted to make my workstation, it needed the light behind me. It's no good putting a camera facing the light, basically, because it just, see the difference? See the difference? Lighting is so important. And obviously I do videos, I go live. So this is like a sort of workstation. I've still got quite a lot to sort out over here. Don't judge me. This is staging props, painting projects, lots and lots of paint and brushes and supplies and that kind of thing. But I'm sorting through it. I've given boxes and boxes of old staging props away to charity over the weekend. So anyway, the reason I'm here is because I am showing you what I'm currently working on. So my schedule is a bit all over the place at the moment because I burnt myself last week and it's put me behind. I'm okay. It just slowed me down really bad because I couldn't bend for a while, and obviously when you paint your furniture you kind of need to move a bit. So it put me behind by a bit. So I am working on a custom order, which is this piece behind me, or these pieces I should say. They're actually a pair of nightstands. And I thought I'd show you what I'm up to. So I have started prepping these this morning. I'm frantically trying to edit the video that should have been on my YouTube channel last week. So I'm kind of bitting and bobbing between editing, doing a bit of this, editing, doing a bit of this. But the piece that I created last week, I got my kids to help me paint because I physically couldn't bend down. I could do it, but it was really painful. And obviously I needed to try and stop the burn from rubbing and stuff. So I got my kids to help me last week. And I've just finished, well, I finished the piece. I staged it. And I'm just finishing editing a YouTube video for it. So I'll show you the piece. It's done with terraclay paint. And it's this. This is a rustic desk or table. So that's the piece. It's very, very colourful as well, and as you can see from the top, really heavily distressed. So that's the piece that I did with my kids. Chaotic yet fun, and you probably will get that vibe from the video as well. It's a little bit different to my normal videos. My normal videos I do quite a lot of voiceovers because number one, there's a lot going on in the background in my house, and I don't always film in like a continuous loop because I have to stop and start. Also, I live in a small village in Staffordshire in the UK called Tutbury, and we have peacocks in our village. And at this time of year, the peacocks are so loud, my camera picks them up. You've probably heard them on live videos before. They make such a weird noise. So that's normally why I do voiceovers. However, there's quite a lot of me talking to the camera in this one, and it's chaotic and it's quite funny. Can you hear the peacocks now? They must be close by, and they shout quite a lot. Anyway, these are a pair of modern nightstands, modern oak nightstands, and they're actually a custom pair that I'm painting for my friend that I went to high school with. She dropped me a message and said she just wanted to painting them black. They're redoing their bedroom, and they just want something that's going to be more in keeping with their new decor scheme, and also just gives them a new lease of life. Also, all the handles, the original handles had snapped, a bar like one, I think. So we are putting new hardware on it. And this is quite often the case when I get custom work. It's normally somebody contacting me that has a piece of furniture that's perfectly fine. So these are functionable, they fit in their home, there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, but they don't fit the decor scheme anymore, or like I say, the handles might have snapped or whatever, but they just want them painted plain. 9 times out of 10, my commission work or my custom orders are plain painted pieces. I'm trying to think back to something where somebody contacted me and said, can I have, I don't know, something like this with clashing colours and distressing and all that kind of thing. It doesn't happen very often. So 9 times out of 10, like I say, people contact me and just say, I've got this desk and I'd like it painting cream. I've got these nightstands, I want them painting black in this case. We're not touching the tops, we're just going to keep that just to kind of give a little bit of contrast to the body of it. However, what I'm getting at is there are different paints in the Dixie Belle range that lend themselves better to certain jobs than others. So for my extremely distressed, crazy, colourful piece, would I have used silk? No, I could have used silk, but it's not the best paint for that job. These are just going to be one colour finish. They want a smooth painted finish, no distressing or anything. Am I going to use Terra for that? No. Could I? Yes, I could, but it's going to make my life difficult because it lends itself better to a different style of painting. So with the 3 different ranges that you get with Dixie Belle, there's something for everyone. So silk, this is the product that I'm using on this. Silk is the all-in-one that I'm going to use for this, and this is what I normally use for my custom orders. If somebody contacts me and just says, I want this painted blue, I want this painted black, as long as it's in the silk range colour sort of range, then I'll use silk, because it's going to make my life easier. It's not going to make my life difficult. It's going to make my life difficult if I choose, say for example, Terra for a 1 colour finish. It can be done. You can do it. It's not the wisest choice though, unless you want it heavily distressing or something like that. So silk is the way forward for this. So I have started, like I say, prepping these in between editing my video this morning, and I've basically got to the point where I need to do a quick scuff sand. So the thing is with silk is you do need to do a little bit more prep work than the other 2 ranges of paint. And the reason for that is all-in-one paints, so paints that have got a built-in top coat, just need that extra little bit of grip to adhere onto your surface. Chalk mineral paint and Terra both adhere to surfaces. They've got a slightly better adherence, is that a word? So as long as your piece isn't super shiny like a metal or plastic, then you don't really have to do kind of extreme sanding or anything like that for chalk mineral paint or Terra. Like I say, they will stick to a surface really well. I always scuff sand anyway, because that's just how I've been taught, and it's just kind of built into me that I do scuff sand. I know a lot of people don't, and that's also absolutely fine, each to their own. There's no right or wrong, but the advice that is given to get the best out of silk and to get the best durability for silk is to scuff sand your piece. So that's the stage I'm at now. I've already cleaned these with Dixie Belle's White Lightning. This is the side panel because the front, I've filled the hardware holes and that is still drying. And the hardware holes were quite big. So I've used wood filler for those. I normally use Dixie Mud for a lot of things like that. But they were quite big holes and they were deep and they went all the way through the drawer. So I have used wood filler for those just for a little bit of extra durability. And like I say, this is a commission piece, so it's got to be tip top. Not that none of my pieces are tip top, but you know what I mean. So I'll just place you further back and I'm going to fire my sander up. So just because I am using an electric sander, that doesn't mean you need to sand with an electric sander. I'm doing this because it's a dustless sander. I'm sanding inside and I have really sensitive eyes. If I get dust in my eyes, it causes havoc for days. So that's why I invested in one of these. And all I've got on here is a very old, actually, it might need changing. I don't even know what that is actually. Let's change it. It's worse for wear, isn't it? Let me get a new sanding sheet. Bear with me. Please hold the line. And I'm going to show you how quick it is to scuff sand, because a lot of people get put off by scuff sanding. They think it's going to take them hours to do. It's not. It's even quicker when you've got an electric sander, obviously, but you can scuff sand by hand. And if I'm outside and doing scuff sanding, I do often do that. It's just that I do a lot of the stuff in here because I'm filming. But if you use a Dixie Belle sanding sponge, this is equivalent to a 220 grit, and that's absolutely fine 9 times out of 10 for scuff sanding. So I'm just going to pop that back in my thing. So I'm going to fire this up. It'll only take a few seconds, but it obviously will be a little bit noisy for that time. So I'm going to bring you in for a closer look, and you can see the difference here. So this is the top, which is not going to be painted. I've masked that off already, and you can see it's got a factory finish shine to it. It's a lacquer, varnish or whatever, and this is all I've done to scuff sand. So I've created like a white kind of haze. I haven't stripped it all off. Hi Teresa, thanks for listening. That's very nice of you. You don't turn the video feature on. Don't want anyone getting in trouble. So you can see it's like created a white haze. I haven't stripped that all the way. Now we've got sirens going on now. We've got sirens, we've got peacocks. It always happens when I'm live. You can see I've just just scuff sanded and created like a haze on the surface. I haven't stripped the existing finish. You don't need to sand back to raw wood. That's just going to waste your time, and time is money. So you don't need to do that. The only time you would need to strip something is if your piece is waxed, and I do cover that on my own YouTube channel. I've got a couple of videos on stripping wax and how to find out if a piece is waxed and what to do if a piece is waxed. So that's the only time you would have to strip a piece back to kind of like the raw wood. Any other time, that quick scuff sand is absolutely fine. Like I say, it's slightly quicker because I did it with my electric sander, but if you did it by hand, it wouldn't really take you that much longer. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. And then this is damp. I actually prefer using a dry one of these, but if you rub your hand on the surface, obviously we've got dust residue. That is super fine dust, and if I started painting on top of this, what would happen is that dust would get trapped in my paint. And sometimes if you do that, if you rub over your paint when it's dry, it feels sort of gritty. That usually means you haven't cleaned the dust off the surface before you've painted, if that makes sense. So all I'm going to do is just quickly wipe down any dust off the surface. You can get special tack cloths for this job as well, but I just use a microfiber cloth. Microfiber cloths they're a multi-purpose tool, so that's got all the dust off and it's just trapped it in that microfiber cloth, and that's it, ready to paint. And the good thing about silk is you don't need to prime. No priming at all. So this surface is slightly damp. Now, I'm going to kneel. I'm going to get down here. The advice is to use silk with a dry brush and not to add any water to it. So in order to get a smooth finish, if you're using chalk mineral paint, you can keep it open, you can keep the paint wet by spritzing water, and that allows you to kind of lay the paint flat, play around with it, manipulate it, and you can get a smooth finish that way. You can't do that with silk, because if you add too much water to silk, then it starts to break down the properties of the paint, as in it has a built-in top coat, it has a built-in stain blocking primer, it has a few other things that it does. If you add too much water, it won't do those things. You can water this down. I've used silk as a wash before, which is where you add, you know, like quite a substantial amount of water into your paint, and you kind of see the wood grain through it, so it's not like a solid colour. That's a paint wash. So I have used silk for that before. You can do lots of different things with silk if you want to, but what you have to bear in mind is you will have to top coat it. So like I say, once you have reached that, it's got a 10% water tolerance. So if you add any more than 10% water to silk, you are going to have to probably prime, and you are probably going to have to top coat, because it's just going to make the features of that paint kind of not do its job, if that makes any sense at all. However, dark colours can be a little bit of a pain to paint with, notoriously. Not always, but they can be. And I find that a slightly damp brush, that's it, 2 spritzes of my continuous mister, and this is a super fine mist. Can't hardly pick it up on the camera, it's that fine. Couple of spritzes on my brush before I start painting. I don't then add any extra water. It's just literally a fine mist on the bristles. I do find that helps lay the product, and I only do that with a couple of colours in the silk range. I do that with Anchor and I do it with Deep Sea. I don't do it with any of the others. The others tend to be okay, but I've used those colours enough to know that they can just be a little bit draggy, and it's just to do with the pigment in the colours. They just feel slightly thicker to me. They're not thicker, it's just how the pigment acts. So I'm using, like I say, Anchor for this. I have a oval medium brush. This is a synthetic brush. Synthetic is going to lend itself better to a smooth finish. Most of the time when I create my own pieces, you'll see me using a natural bristle brush of some variety, whether it's a chip brush or a Big Daddy or a French tip brush, because that is going to create all that really nice texture that I like. But we don't want texture on this, so we're going to use one of these. And like I say, there's no priming, so where you have done that little bit of extra prep work, We're going to save time because we don't need to prime. And can you hear those sirens? I do not know what's going on in Tutbury today. It's clearly something kicking off, isn't it? Could be anything. So yeah, that extra tiny little bit of prep work where you've scuff sanded your piece, you don't need to prime, you don't need to wait for any primer to dry. So the primer that's built into this is a stain blocking primer, not an adhesion primer. Some people get confused. So the stain blocking primer is going to stop bleed through, which is not so common on dark colours like black anyway, but it can happen. And you'll know it's happened because it looks almost like sort of patchy, but like maybe like it's wet in areas, if that makes sense. So you can still get bleed through on dark colours. It's more common and it's more prominent on light colours. And bleed through is where your paint changes colour because of the wood. Something in the wood is basically leaking through into your paintwork. So the primer in Dixie Belle Silk stops that from happening. So you don't need to prime separately. If you have a piece that's really shiny and slick, then you still need to prime for adhesion. So if you wanted to paint plastic or metal with silk, you still need to use Slick Stick, which is their bonding primer. It's their adhesion primer. It won't do that job. It's the stain blocking primer in silk. But you can see how easy and quickly this is going on. This is fairly dried out wood as well. And the other thing you don't really want to do is paint in direct sunlight or when it's quite warm with silk. That can it can be tricky because of how it dries. So silk dries from the top down, which basically means it forms a skin, and it starts doing that fairly quickly, especially obviously if you're in heat and like a hot climate or whatever. Whereas chalk mineral paint or Terra, you can spritz it with water and it's absolutely fine, and you can reactivate it or you can keep it open for a long amount of time while you play around with it, like I am now, just trying to get it all level, make sure there's no drips and it's all nice and even. Whereas once silk has started to dry, you are going to cause yourself to have kind of texture on the surface. So you don't want to mess around with it too much, just like I am now. Hi Valerie. So I've got some unwanted sort of thicker bits here. So I'm just gonna lightly use my paintbrush that I've just been using and just go with the direction of the grain. And that's just gonna help the self-leveling properties in silk. I'm hardly pressing on at all. And like I say, you kind of get to know your window, if you like, of being able to play around with this paint the more you use it. I know that I've still got a little bit of tolerance in there because it's not that warm today. But once that starts drying and forming a skin, what you don't want to do is start trying to, if you see a drip, for example, if I just saw a drip down here or a little bit of texture or some brush strokes that I perhaps hadn't picked up, if you start going back in with your brush and trying to flatten that out once it's started forming that skin and started to dry, you're just gonna create more texture and more mess. So leave it alone, let it fully dry, and then you can just go in with a fine sanding pad, again, and a Dixie Belle one. These sand really nice. Sand it down and then get that on a wasp. Now we've got wildlife, we've got sirens, we've got peacocks, and I'm about to be attacked by a wasp. It's the pink hair, isn't it? He thinks it's a big fat marshmallow or something. Why does this always happen on my lives? Just here for the entertainment. I'll tell you what it is, and if anyone's got any tips on this, please drop it in the comments below, because every single year at this time of year, April, May time, I get wasps in here. Every single year they try and build a nest in here. Why? Is there something in here that they want? Do they want me? Do they want to make me their queen? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but every single year I get wasps in here trying to build a nest. I don't know. Tell me if you know in the comments. Anyway, distractions. Now we've got dogs trying to get in. Can someone just please let me do my painting in peace? Please? Just trying to explain to these lovely people on YouTube how to paint furniture and I'm getting interrupted. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, so don't try and get any, like now, if I went in now, I know the tolerance of silk. I've used silk so much. If I went in now with this brush and started trying to mess around with it, it would cause me problems. It would cause me texture. And texture is what I don't want. I want a nice smooth finish. So leave it alone. I can see I've got texture here. So as I've moved around, the light has caught an area here where there's a little couple of brush strokes. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's fine. Equally, don't try and catch it while it's drying. Just leave it alone and finally sand it down. Get it on your second coat. Thank me later. So yeah, that's basically silk. It's super easy to do. It's what I use for most of my custom orders, my commissions. If I want to be a little bit more creative, then I'm going to use Terra or chalk mineral paint. So if you are one of those painters out there that just like a fuss-free, one colour finish, paint it and done, that was still hanging around up there. What do you want? Please communicate. The doors are open. You're free to leave at any time. It's going up there. Again, that's where they always go. If there's an old wasp nest in here, will they keep trying to come back to it every year? Answers on a postcard. I've got all kinds of problems going on. So hopefully that helps with silk projects going on. And I know I covered silk back to basics a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago. Can't remember when it was. But obviously I know that different people tune in, you know, for different videos and stuff. And I just thought I'd show you a little snippet of what's going on this week, and then next week we'll do something different as we always do. So thank you for watching today. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to get the hairdryer out and dry this, speed dry this, and show you a second coat. Second coat goes on same as the first, so that's going to be boring, isn't it? Oh, they're going to return to old nests. Interesting. So up above here in this little sunroom / conservatory, there is a small loft. I've got a sneaking suspicion there might be an old nest in there, and then they're trying to get back to it. Interesting. That'll be a job for Andy. No, not really. I wouldn't send him up there. So yeah, that's probably what they're doing, aren't they? So yeah, thank you for watching today. I am considering silk and it scares me. Glad to see this arrived. Don't let it scare you. It's not scary. It's really beautiful paint to work with, to paint with. Like I say, if you want that one colour clean look for furniture, which, let's be honest, most people do. If I paint anything of my own in silk, sells straight away, because that is the look that a lot of people want. A crazy kind of distressed finish. It's a little bit more niche, but that's the kind of stuff I like. And I'm quite lucky that I can kind of balance it and do a little bit of both. But don't be scared of silk. Honestly, don't. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful paint to work with. Don't let any horror stories put you off. It's lovely. It's really lovely. Yes, exactly, Valerie. Don't be scared. You'll do great. You will. And also, all of the Dixie Belle paints now come in the 4-ounce tubs. So if you want to have a go with a particular product and you are a little bit scared and you think might not be for me, grab a 4-ounce product from your local Dixie Belle retailer. I haven't got a 4-ounce to hand, but they are the perfect size project pot. You can do like a chair or a couple of stools or something small from a charity shop or secondhand, or even just a board, and create something with it just to get the idea of how it kind of works. Because when silk first came out, a lot of people were trying to kind of understand what it was and how to use it. And if you used a chalk mineral paint, it does behave differently, but it's nothing to be scared of. It's a really beautiful paint. once you start using it, I guarantee you will love it. And especially for those one colour finishes, it saves so much time in priming, and obviously it's got a built-in top coat as well. Now, I am top coating these at the request of the customer. I wouldn't ordinarily top coat silk because it's really, really durable, but she has asked me to top coat these, so I will be doing that. Thanks, mate. No, I'm joking. But usually I think we've had silk over here now for 2 odd years, I think, in the UK. I've not once top coated silk, not once, because it doesn't need it. So you save time, little bit of scuff sanding to start off with. You're going to save time. You don't have to prime unless you need slick stick for adhesion, but you don't have to stain block. You also don't need to top coat. So you get your time back. And I know what I'd rather do. I'd rather do a little bit of sanding and no top coating. Me and top coats don't get on. So I'd rather do that than spend my time trying to top coat. So yeah, try it. It's a good paint. It's a brilliant paint. And I'm going to go and figure out why these wasps are coming in my house. And I'm also going to go and carry on editing my video. I need to get it finished today. I want to get it finished today. If you don't already subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would absolutely love it if you could come over and give me a little cheeky subscribe, because I am trying to get to 10,000 followers by the end of 2023. It's ambitious, not followers, subscribers, sorry. Over here, it's subscribers, not followers. But 10,000 subscribers on my own YouTube channel by the end of 2023. I've set myself a little mini target. So yeah. Also, toying with the idea of going live with Melissa from the Top Drawer RVA. So we've been talking about it. She's another brand ambassador. If you don't follow her or subscribe to her, get over and subscribe to her YouTube channel, because she is awesome. Her paint, her hand painting range, she is very, very talented, and she is lovely as well. So we are trying to fix a date where we can go live here together, which I think will be really good fun, providing technology doesn't let us down. So that'd be cool as well. So yeah, that's it. I will, obviously, if you follow me on social media, let you know when my YouTube video is up. Hopefully it will be today, maybe later on today, this evening, whatever, but hopefully it'll be finished today. And that's it. I'll see you all next week. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in. As always, make sure you are subscribed to the Dixie Belle YouTube channel, as well as mine and Melissa's and all the other brand ambassadors, because we're all amazing. Thank you, Sue. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next week with something completely different.